So Robert, it is a wonderful pleasure to be able to talk with you today. One of the things that made me so anxious to meet you is because you bring so many different dynamics to the business of in the rag trade, as we say.
Right.
And you have developed a wonderful business. And before I get into your background, I want you to tell me a lot about your business model.
Yes. So, well, firstly, thank you for having me. And you already know I'm excited about this. So, my business model, so what I wanted to do is, when I first started this business, one of the things that people said to me the most was, you gotta get your stuff on celebrities. That's how you gonna make it big. You gotta get your stuff on famous people. And I was like, no. The person that you don't know is my customer. There's much more people that are not celebrities that than there are celebrities. And I'm like, also with celebrities, they don't pay for that,
Exactly.
They don't pay for this stuff. So,
That's right.
If I can treat people like a celebrity,
Exactly.
right? Everyday people, give them that celebrity-like experience. That is who my customer is. So my business is really built around, yes, the suits, super nice. The tailoring, the fabrics, all of that stuff, super nice. But in terms of the marketing and advertising of the business, it's two guys in a comfortable environment, going through fabrics, designing a coat or designing a suit. And that experience where I get to learn more about the person gets to learn more about me, I get to give them my feedback in terms of how things should look. That has been what has made my business kind of like what it is now, in terms of catering to that everyday man, right, with an affordable luxury product, right? Because when I was first looking for, the coat that I envisioned in my head, it was either high-end luxury retailers,
right,
$5,000, or fast fashion, $250 with faux fur. And I was like, neither one is right. The sweet spot is kind of it's in the middle.
Absolutely.
It's in the middle. So price my things at an affordable luxury price, and it's actually, a lot of people have said to me, you should charge more, right, because of what you're giving. But this was my sweet spot where I knew that it was for the person who could afford it, they were gonna come. And there were a lot of people like me, right, that are my customers that come. So that's really where the business model came from.
And so I want to begin where Robert Pauley III first got into the appreciation of clothing, and where you grew up, and sort of fill me in on that background a little bit.
Yep, so I'm originally from the Bronx, New York. People were like, oh, the Bronx. I'm proud to be from the Bronx. And grew up in the Soundview section of the Bronx. So, not the nicest and all of those things, but tons of family and friends around. And from a young age, I realized that, one, that I like to be different. Two, that I didn't want to wear, jeans, hanging off my butt or whatever it was.
Exactly.
I enjoyed dressing up. And, as a student, I was a really good student, always in honors classes and things like that. And when you're in those types of programs, you get to go places.
Right.
Philadelphia, here, there. We go on all these class trips and things like that. And I had opportunities to put on a nice pair of pants and a button-down shirt. So from there, I was like, you know what? This is me.
Right.
This is me. This is how I feel most comfortable. And even at the times where I tried to fit in, right? Wearing whatever it was that was the designer, the urban designer at the time. It was just like, oh, the fit. I'm not with these big clothes.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm not with this style. But it wasn't until I got to high school, and I was a part of a program called the Academy of Finance, and I was the class rep. So every other week on, I want to say either Tuesday or Wednesday, I would have to put on a suit,
right,
go down to American Express, and we would have our, Academy of Finance meetings there. And then that summer, I got an internship with Citibank. So again, I had to wear a suit. So just getting on the subway and walking the streets of downtown and seeing how people treated me with respect, right? Even though I was 16, called me Mister.
Exactly.
And sir, all because I had on this suit.
Exactly.
So from there, I was like, this is me, and this is how I want to look. I don't know what I'll do as a career, but I know what I know now is I want to do something where I get the opportunity to wear a suit, maybe carry my briefcase, go to my office, and that kind of stuck with me. And throughout the different jobs that I had and the different things that I did, people will always say, "You dress too nice to be here. You're dressed too nice to be in here. What are you doing here?" Even when I worked in banking, people was like, "Oh, we know you. You the guy with the nice suits."
Exactly.
So even if they didn't know my name, they saw me.
Right.
And they knew, who I was because of the suits.
So I want to, one of the reasons why I wanted to sit down with you, Robert, is because you bring an interesting perspective to the clothing business in the sense that you have a strong finance background.
Right.
And, all of us who have worked in the men's clothing business, at the beginning of the fiscal year, management comes down, they hand us a piece of paper, they say, we want this store to do $2 million. Right. And here's the piece of paper, and go get me the $2 million.
Right.
So after we get that piece of paper, we have to develop key item reports and sell-throughs and all the little logistical benchmarks that we need to follow. From that point of view, as just a merchant that's running a store, right. In terms of ownership, it takes on a different benchmark. And I want you to talk a little bit about the finance side that brought you into the men's clothing business.
Yes. So, like I said, wanted to dress up, and I have a degree in history. And people will say, "Well, what are you going to do? Be a teacher?" And I'm like, "I'm going to do what I want to do." And at the time, it was going to financial services. So I got into a program in JP Morgan, and my first role, was in a project management space, and it wasn't very sexy, but that was kind of like my first introduction to analytics and numbers, to track progress, right? To track success. And then from there, I was like, no, I need to be in where they sell it. I need to be, where the money is.
Right.
So then kind of like my second role was a sales analyst within treasury management products. So banking products. And I did that. And then from there, I was like, I want to go abroad and do this. And it just happened that there was a managing director there. She liked me. She's like, what do you want to do next? And I'm like, I want to go and work abroad. Prior to that, I did a study abroad in Spain, and then I taught English in China over a summer. So I was like, I want to go back to Asia.
Right.
And she pretty much made it happen. Like she connected the dots for me. And then I ended up going out there and I did Asian sales strategy.
Incredible.
So looking, layman's terms, looking at the numbers to decide how to sell other products to them or sell more of the same, right? So understanding Asian culture, right? Understanding how they do business, understanding the climate there, all of those things as it relates to those businesses, and essentially doing a business management type function. So this is a kid that hated math. All right, I didn't graduate high school on time because of math.
Right.
And now I'm math heavy.
Exactly.
Numbers heavy. And from there, I was just like, I'm actually getting good at this.
Right.
And this is how I see how things really work. Right? Because all the time when I was interviewing, right, JP Morgan, at the time, Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, all of these companies, they say, well, you have a history degree. Why you want to be here?
Exactly.
It ties together. What you learn from studying history is dates, numbers, analytical thinking, critical thinking, being able to tell a story based off events and times and all of those things. That is a skill that is invaluable, right? Being able to communicate, being able to write those things, being able to tell a numbers story is something. There's people who are good at numbers. There are people who are good at looking at the numbers to say, what does this mean? What should we do as a result of this? And that was my skill set. Came back to the U.S. after almost 3 years in Hong Kong. Got a role as the Latin American sales CFO for the business unit, doing pretty much the same things, business management type role, and then went over to a different line of business, much bigger business, billions of dollars in budget, and I'm responsible for managing those numbers and communicating those numbers and where things need to go with the business. And I learned during that time that's the business.
That's the business.
That is the business. That is the business. And without that part, it doesn't matter what the people in the front, the salespeople are doing. If you don't have that back part in order, not gonna make money.
Exactly. And all of us who have been, store managers and ran, men's clothing stores, we make our money on sales.
Right.
And, upper management, the CEOs, they make their monies on profit.
Right.
They make their money based on the profit margins that come about during the fiscal year.
Right.
But the thing that's most amazing to me about you is that you're right about the history. Because one of the reasons why I'm here is because the history of the clothing business and the culture is very, very important to me. And to me, you're the future of this business in the sense that you bring all these other things into it. And I kind of want you to tie in how all these things played the moment you decided that you were going to start your own clothing business.
Yep. So before I actually, threw up the deuces to say I'm out of here, I traveled for about 3 years. And I did business process reengineering, right? So I looked at process efficiencies across organizations. What are you doing every day, right? How can it be done better? What can change from a people perspective and what needs to change from a technology perspective, right? So I was responsible for, just like how you said, your management will come and say, we need X million dollars in sales, make it happen, right? They said, we need X million dollars in efficiencies, go find it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So then it becomes, okay, what are you doing? Why? Okay, but why? Oh, because that's how the person before me did it. Well, does that work for you? No, not really. I don't really like that. Well, what do you think would work better? Well, actually, if we did these things, it would work better.
Right.
So for 3 years, I was in this mindset of how do we do things better, more efficiently, and save money without compromising service. Without compromising service. So coming into this business, that was my mindset. How do I do things with the money that I have, right? At this time, how do I provide a good service while keeping costs low?
Right.
Right? So at first people will say, what? You selling $1,000 things out your house? Like you need a store. Look at this company and look at that. No. So what you're saying to me is you want me to pay thousands of dollars in rent for people to walk in and out the store to look.
Right.
And maybe a few buy something. And you want me to have the store open every day and pay people. Doesn't make much sense to me now. Right? That's not the model. So my model was, you know what? I am going to do what's called native advertising.
Right.
Which is, this looks like you're scrolling Facebook or Instagram. This looks like it belongs here. Someone doing a video in their home. You see a fancy commercial for Mercedes-Benz or something. You know it's an ad.
Right.
Like you know that they are trying to sell you something. It's super polished. It's super all of these things that are synonymous with give me your money. Right. Whereas me, it's just I'm in my home, I'm talking to you, you're seeing my personality, you're buying this before anything else. You're relating to me as a person. And that is in today's day and time, especially with a small business, people want to know who they're buying from.
Absolutely.
They want to know what your values are, kind of who you are as a person, all of these things in terms of making their buying decision, right? Because they've had many years to know how Walmart works, and Target, and Bloomingdale's, and Macy's. They know these names. Welthe Guy, they don't know you.
Right. So Robert, take me into the clothing marketplace the very first time you went there. Take me into the area where you were deciding to buy fabric and figuring out the logistics of who's going to make these garments. Take me into that process. I don't want you to, like I tell all the guys, I don't want you to tell me all your secrets. Right. But I want you to really put a fine point on the process whereby you go into the fabric marketplace. Right.
So when I first started doing the coats, right? So it was top coat, wool cashmere, got the fur put on. And when I first started it, because when I did it for myself, it was, I already had the top coat. I went to the fur district and had them cut the fur for the coat. So when I first started the business, all I was doing was buying already made coats. Right. So I would go to Off Saks or somewhere where I could get the coat at a discounted price, same quality, 90% wool, 10% cashmere, whatever it was, and purchase the coat, and then purchase, pay the furrier to cut the fur and to put it on the coat. But very fast, I learned that business model is not sustainable for what I wanted. Right? Because what if the coats are out of stock?
Exactly.
Right? What if the price changes? What if all of these factors happen where I'm not able to deliver on what I told the customer that I could deliver on?
Exactly. But I want to stop you right there, Robert, so that we can go into part 2, because this is going to be a fascinating conversation, but I want to stop you right there so that we can go into part 2. Man, this is going to be a fascinating story, and we're just going to go into part 2. Okay. But thank you so very much, Robert, for your time.
All right, I'm ready.